Have you ever just felt like you're kind of operating on a totally different wavelength than everyone else? Like you see all these connections that other people just miss, and honestly, it can feel a little isolating. But what if that's not a flaw? What if it's something else entirely? Today, we're going to dig into what it means to have a high-frequency mind. All right, let's get into it.
Maybe this sounds familiar. You're in a group, right? And while everyone is talking about what happened, your mind is already like 3 steps ahead, deconstructing the why. It can honestly feel like you're living in a slightly different reality from everyone around you. And yeah, that can get pretty lonely.
But here's a thought. What if that feeling of being different is actually your superpower? Turns out, some psychological frameworks suggest it's a huge sign of what's called a high-frequency mind. Basically, a brain that's wired for way deeper awareness and much more complex thought.
So, here's how we're going to break it all down. We're going to start with that outsider feeling, define what this different frequency really is, and then get into the nitty-gritty of how you think, how you connect with people, and how you live your life. And finally, we'll talk about the 2 sides of this coin, the gift and the weight.
It all kicks off with that feeling, right? That sense of being on the outside looking in. And it's not that you're antisocial or anything, it's just you'd rather swim in the deep ocean of a big idea than splash around in the shallow end of small talk.
So what is really going on here? Let's put a name to this whole experience. What does it actually mean to have a high-frequency mind? Because it's way more than just being smart or being an introvert. It's a fundamental, built-in difference in how your brain processes the entire world.
Okay, so here's the textbook definition. At its core, a high-frequency mind is just operating with a level of depth and awareness that can be, well, pretty intense. Intense for you and sometimes intense for other people. This isn't about being better than anyone. It's really just about having a much bigger capacity for processing information.
And this slide right here, this is a fantastic way to see the difference. Think about it like this. A linear thinker might see an issue in simple black and white, right and wrong. But a layered thinker, you see the history behind it, the economic stuff, the social dynamics, all the ethical gray areas. You see it all at once.
So, how does this layered thinking actually show up in your day-to-day life? Let's dive into the cognitive signs, the real tells of a high-frequency mind. First up, your brain basically has a million tabs open, all the time. One simple thought can set off this whole chain reaction of related ideas, which, by the way, is exactly why small talk can feel like absolute torture. You're not being rude, your brain is just profoundly bored.
Next, you're what's known as a meta-thinker. You don't just have thoughts, you step back and you analyze them. You're always questioning your own assumptions, looking for your blind spots, and trying to get to a more honest, more objective view of reality.
And this quote just nails it, doesn't it? It's like having a director's commentary running in your head 24/7. Now, this gives you incredible insight for sure, but man, it can also make it really hard to just switch off your brain and enjoy the movie. Okay, so we've established you're a deep thinker, but how does that affect your relationships? Let's get into the very unique social wiring of a high-frequency mind.
For starters, you're pretty much a human lie detector. You can spot a fake smile from a mile away, and you just know when someone's holding something back. It's not magic. It's just a highly tuned, almost subconscious ability to read all those tiny nonverbal cues.
And here's the bottom line on that. You don't just hear what people say, you hear what they mean. You're constantly tuned in to the subtext, the hidden agenda of every conversation. And that's exactly why you're so good at sniffing out, well, BS.
So this is a big one. You're not antisocial. You are selectively social. You actually crave solitude because that's where you do your best work, your best thinking. You don't need a crowd to feel good about yourself. You're more than comfortable just hanging out with your own thoughts.
And this is such a key distinction to make. Loneliness feels like a prison, but solitude is a sanctuary. It's where you go to recharge your batteries, to reflect, and to reconnect with who you really are.
So we've looked at how you think and how you connect. But how does all of this actually translate into your daily life? Let's talk about the habits and routines that really set a high-frequency mind apart. Picture this. There's a huge crisis at work. Everyone else is running around like their hair is on fire, but you're the calm in the eye of the storm. That is emotional gravity in action. You just don't get swept up in the chaos. You anchor yourself in reason. This quote says it all, really. And your calm isn't just for you. It's actually contagious. There's this thing called neural resonance, where your centered energy can literally calm down the nervous systems of the people around you. You're a natural-born leader, whether you even realize it or not.
And now we get to the holy grail of habits, automaticity. This is the point where you don't even need willpower anymore to do the right thing. It's just what you do. It's the difference between having to force yourself to go to the gym and feeling weird if you don't go.
So how do you get there? Well, you stop relying on motivation, which comes and goes, and you build solid systems instead. You learn to master delayed gratification, choosing long-term success over short-term pleasure. And you stop talking about what you're going to do, and you just do it. This isn't about being restrictive, it's about freedom.
So after all that, what does it all add up to? The truth is, having a high-frequency mind is a bit of a double-edged sword. It's both a blessing and a curse.
Let's just do a quick recap of these traits. You think in layers, not straight lines. You have emotional gravity. You're the calm in the storm. You can read people like a book. You're totally comfortable on your own. You're constantly analyzing your own thoughts. You're driven by a deeper meaning. And you are a master of self-discipline.
And here's the thing. Having a high-frequency mind is an incredible gift. I mean, it lets you see the world with a richness and a depth that most people can't even begin to imagine. But it can also be a really heavy weight to carry, especially when it feels like no one else out there really gets it.
So I'll leave you with this final thought. If a lot of this stuff resonated with you, just remember, you're not flawed and you are not strange. You might just be walking a path alone for a little while because you're operating on a frequency that most people simply haven't learned how to tune into yet.